Welcome back to all our friends, family, and yes, even our foes. To the Foxx Den Sports Podcast, where Todd and his sports-passionate kids are ready to bring you the latest updates and insights on all things sports. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Got it at about 2 o'clock.
Welcome back to the Foxx Den Sports Podcast, where the takes are hot, the coffee is hotter, and the Oklahoma Sooners apparently like to win in the most stressful way possible. I am your host, the Podfather, along with the dog, and we got Banch here as well to cover a lot of the OU game this past weekend. OU beat LSU 17-13, moves to 10-2, and might actually, possibly, host a playoff game here coming up. Gentlemen, you remember last year at this time, Brent Venables was one bad month away from being shipped out, perhaps, or possibly people thinking that this was going to be his last year. But this year, we're talking about possible home playoff game. So let's kind of kick it off with this game. Kellen, what impressed you the most from this LSU win? Are you finding a way to win despite the turnovers, or the defense absolutely suffocating LSU?
Probably the winning despite the turnovers. I didn't have any doubt in my mind we could really shut them down with our defense. But overcoming those 3 turnovers, one that was nearly a pick six and ended up being nothing for them, one that turned into 7 points, and then the other got that pump back. So it's just our defense answered the call every time. So I'm not surprised by what our defense could do. But if you would have told me that we had 3 interceptions like that, I would not have expected much out of that game, because you just don't know what can come of those. But our defense clutched it up again for us.
Well, Clay, let's talk about John Mateer. He was 23 of 38 for 318 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have the 3 interceptions. He put every Sooner fan through emotional trauma that game. Spiritual evolution. We were just praying like crazy. And then he drops that 58-yard bomb for the win. But here's what I want to know from you, Clay. You think Mateer won this game or almost gave it away?
Can I say C, both, all the above?
Sure, go for it.
Because I definitely, and it wasn't just that it's interceptions. I mean, the first one was tipped. Second one, he was rushing. Third one was just a god-awful throw. So it just, it goes everything against how we beat Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, was just great defense and no turnovers. So you think about taking away those 3 possessions from LSU, how much of a difference of a game it would have been. I mean, you take those down, and because, that one, the second interception, well, the second and third interception, we're in field goal range. So there's 6 points that we threw away. And so, but I heard a quote from him that I really liked. He said, I had to decide in that last 10 minutes or so of the game is either I was going to be disgusted with myself the rest of my life or become a man. So, so I think his teammates kept picking him up. So, like, it's all right, we got you. I think that made a huge difference in him. And so, there's a lot of guys that play bad games, but it's just the quarterback stands out a lot more when they play bad. And so I think he did a little bit of both, because he could have just caved. And even though Centennial was wide open, the fact that he actually saw him, there's times like that he's had people wide open like that and didn't see him, but he did see him, got it to him, made a good throw, caught him in stride, didn't make him sit and wait where he got tackled on the 30-yard line and then try to score. So anyways, there's some good things with him as well.
Well, is this version of Mateer, the high variance, big arm, turnover prone version, is he good enough to win a playoff game?
If you take away the turnovers, yes. If you took away the first pick, okay, whatever. But if you take away the other 2 picks, we could have had an extra 6 points minimum if we just take a couple field goals, maybe 10 points, maybe 14. With our kicking game, if he can just get us 40 yards down the field from time to time and take some field goals, we can definitely win a playoff game with our defense. If he takes away the turnovers, he can lead this team, but it's just going to be a lot harder depending on who we play if we're the one turning the ball over.
Did they get points off those turnovers? Is that
Second one.
The second one? Was it a field goal?
Second one, it was the
goal?
first 3 points. Was that where we went for it on fourth down? Was that drive?
I think
And they got it back midfield.
I think you may be
that was a
right.
field goal there.
Yeah, that's what I mean, the
Yeah,
field goal.
yeah.
But then I know the second interception was the 7 points.
Right, and then they got a field goal when we turned it over on downs. And they didn't get any points on the first and third interceptions.
Well, if Mateer throws 3 picks in a playoff game, you think we're going to survive that, or are we going to need to buy some pre-heart, medication right now?
I think a lot of it depends on our defense got 1 interception, which was game-changing, this one, but we didn't get any more.
That's huge.
But the guy barely threw the ball. So they were extremely conservative in how they approached the game plan. So it's hard for us to get an interception when they never pass it. And to answer your question, no, we can't win. We can't win with 3 turnovers against anybody in the top 12 in the nation.
Yeah, unless somebody's giving it up 5 times to us.
Yeah.
100%. But on that first interception, you remember who made the tackle?
Yeah, it was Mateer.
Yeah, it was Mateer on the sidelines. So that was a great job by him. And I think he made a tackle maybe on the second one as well. I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
He kind of tripped him. He kind of fell in front of him, and then a bit of his legs caught up with him and got him down.
What was that quote you sent last night that you heard?
Yeah, it was our defense is so elite, even our quarterback got 2 tackles.
Yeah. And then the punter had on the kickoff, was it Sandell? Yeah. On that kickoff, he pushed the guy. I don't think he actually pushed him out of bounds or anything, but he made him stumble a little bit to where
got a hold of his jersey enough to slow him down.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think the guy would have scored if he hadn't done it.
Well, I can't even imagine. I don't want to. I'm already stressed now, and we already won the game. Isaiah Satanga, 9 catches, 121 yards, the game winner, the 35, and then he had a 35-yard punt return also earlier. That kind of helped spark the offense. Every time OU needed a big play, he seemed like he was that guy. So is he an unsung MVP for this Oklahoma team this season, especially on the offense, I guess?
I don't think there's any doubt he's our best offensive player.
Yeah. It's not even close.
Crazy enough, it could be there's tons of defensive players, but there's no defensive player that just stands out because they're all good. So if it's not Satania, it's probably Tate Sandell.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, you're right. Tell Clay, and then Kellen after he's done, kind of tell, and I may give my little version, but on that 58-yard bomb with 4.5 minutes left or whatever it was, what were you thinking? Because it seemed very odd.
Well, if you remember in the beginning of the game, no, it's maybe in the second quarter, we're going the opposite direction. Giovanni Gibson caught a little post route across the middle, wide open, and he was going to score. And then all of a sudden, everybody just stopped because LSU had called the timeout, apparently. That's what I thought was going to happen. I was like in a twilight zone going, but everybody just kept cheering and going nuts. And I kept looking around, and all the OU players were running down there. LSU players are going down there to play defense. And I was just like, it probably took me a good 5 to 6 seconds to really start cheering because I was like, something happened for him to be that wide open. Like they called timeout, or they jumped off sides, or we jumped off sides and they were letting the play run or something. And so that to me was how I was going on that play.
Sure. Kellen, do you remember? What were you thinking?
I was screaming like 5. I think was that one, the Satanga one? Yeah, because I was screaming 5 because we've seen plenty of times where Mateer doesn't see the guy open. Now he was much more open than those times usually are, but so I'm screaming 5, and then while he's running down, I'm scanning, looking for flags. I'm listening, looking because the timeout crap. So I was listening for a whistle, and then nothing. So it felt like it was all slow motion, him coming down completely alone because I'm sitting there looking for anything that could stop it. And it's just some busted coverage that saved us the game.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing because you guys were all, Garrett, Sidney Grace, Callie were all just going crazy along with tons of fans, right? But I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? There's got to be something because there's no way he's going to be that wide open. And I was just like Clay, you were saying, it took me a minute because I'm looking for flags, looking for a timeout, looking for, official stop in the game. And it didn't. And it was like, man, we just actually scored. And that's exactly what we needed we needed a touchdown. We didn't need, a field goal would have been fine to tie it up. But I didn't want to tie it up. I wanted to win this daggum thing. And then right after that's whenever the daggum kickoff, went, he wasn't able to kick it out of the end zone, and they ran that kickoff back, getting them in some serious field goal. Well, not necessarily field goal range, but they were getting closer, which of course they wouldn't have needed a field goal anyway. But let's pivot to the defense real quick. The real reason, obviously, The real reason why Oklahoma isn't doing what they're in a playoff threat is because of the defense. We held LSU to 198 yards, and I'm telling you right here now, those guys were terrible. They were really, really bad on offense. I thought their defense was pretty good, but their offense was not at all. They only made 2 third down conversions out of 14 attempts. So our defense, better than elite. That's Venable. That's Venables right there. So our last 4 opponents, Tennessee had 351 yards. Alabama, it says 212, but I don't know if that's accurate. I think they had over for like 400. Missouri, 276.
Like 380.
Yeah, so and LSU 198. And so thing is, OU after this game, that's some championship type level defense there. And Kellen, you may not be able to answer this, but Clay, is this the best defense you've seen since the early 2000s?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That first time,
close.
Like 2000 for sure. And obviously those defenses we had in the 80s with Bosworth and Casillas and Scott Case and all those guys were really good too, but they didn't go up a whole lot against a whole lot of passing teams. There was a lot of running and pitch outs and all that kind of stuff. Can we win a playoff game with this defense being the main reason, not the offense?
We can win, but again, we can't be turning the ball over. And I'd just like to at least see some field goals, but yardage, like you can't have a bunch of 3 and outs. Because, we just had a bunch of turnovers, but we were doing good with the time of possession this go around, which definitely helped our defense. So if the offense can at least get some first downs just to keep the defense off, I say this every week, but yeah, we can definitely win a playoff game.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt. Offense, I've never seen too many times you win a game and never get into the red zone.
Yeah. And that's what I was getting ready to say. We didn't even get in the red zone, and we won this thing. And we've scored every single time. 32 out of 32, 23 touchdowns, 9 field goals this season. And we couldn't even get in the red zone against LSU, and we still won the ball game. That's incredible. So what does that say about this team? That they can win a game without getting one single red zone possession?
I think it just shows that the coaches are doing a great job realizing the kind of team they have, and this is how we're going to win. We're not going to try to force a 350-yard offense every week because we may not win doing that. Because he threw downfield more than he ever has, and guess what that resulted in? 3 interceptions.
Right.
And so I think they're figuring some things out. I think they did that because LSU's got the number 5 defense in the nation, so they are really good. But I just think that they realize this is how we can win. So when you understand your identity and if everybody understands their roles, boy, it makes things a whole lot better going forward.
We won't find out for, I think it's next Saturday or Sunday on whether or not we will or will not actually host a playoff game or even be in the playoffs, which we should be. But I think it'd be really neat to host one. Possible matchups. Notre Dame, I've heard. I've actually heard Ole Miss. Have you heard any other teams other than those 2?
Not really. Just a lot of it depends on who wins and loses this weekend. If every team that wins that they're supposed to, like basically the highest ranked team according to the other one, then we will be hosting Notre Dame is the way I look at it. Because then nobody ahead of us will lose this weekend. But just it's going to be interesting if BYU beats Texas Tech or Alabama beats Georgia. What's going to happen? And do we get shoved back to the 10 spot?
Will be very interesting.
Yeah, that's why I don't think there's any chance that we can, because Miami can't increase their resume because then they're at 11, right? So they can't get any better. Alabama can and BYU can. BYU's at 12. So if those jumped us, 2 jumped ahead of us, the worst we can move back to is 10. And that would be playing us against, who would be 5? Ole Miss, possibly?
Right. Which is very interesting because that kind of goes into another subject we were going to talk about is Ole Miss may not have any offensive coaches. I haven't heard yet if any of those guys actually all of them left. I think I heard Charlie Weiss Jr. was staying around, and one more. I cannot remember for the life of me who.
Coach and receivers coach, I believe.
Yeah, we're going to be sticking around. Miss
and his GM.
Yeah, Ole Miss actually offered, for what it sounded like, the coaches double their salary if they stuck around. Because LSU, not only were they going through, a coaching change and all that, but they had all this possible, and not much of a distraction for them as it would be for Ole Miss. But any thoughts on the drama with the LSU coach leaving, and then anything like, do you see any kind of similarities with that and when Lane Kiffin left us, was it 4 or 5 years ago? 5 years ago,
Lincoln
I guess
Riley.
now. Lincoln Riley. Who did I say?
You said Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, Lane didn't leave us. No.
I think.
Any thoughts?
It's interesting. The whole, I just look out there and I go, what else has changed? Is going to change the college football landscape with the portal and NIL. I think firing coaches early is a change that had never happened until this year. Hiring all these teams, got basically everybody but Penn State got their coach for the most part, and then if 3 or 4 more were fired. I think Penn State's probably going to get the BYU guy, but so has that changed, and what will it change? Yeah, I think it's just weird how these people are going to be quitting like right now, and it just depends on, if things go well for like Eric Morris, who's going to Oklahoma State. If it goes well for him at North Texas and he wins a conference championship, then people might be more willing to let their coaches stay, continue coaching. But if he handles it bad, does stuff like Lane Kiffin did, and then I don't know what the right answer is, but it's just interesting how this is something we've never really encountered before.
Kellen, what are your thoughts?
I just think they've got to figure out scheduling. They got to switch it up because it's not, the way he went about it was wrong, but it's not Kiffin's fault that, like, in order for him to get to LSU and really get some things rolling, like, it's got to happen now. So they've got to find a way to portal timing and recruiting, and I don't know. They just gotta they gotta redo the whole scheduling for everything, because it's just dumb that this happens, because it's going to start happening more, I would think, with having more teams in the playoffs, and especially if they start adding even more. Those bottom teams, those lower tier teams that are sneaking in, like if we do go to a 16-team playoff, those smaller ones are going to be the guys that want to get to a bigger school. So that we're going to see that a lot, I would think, with like 13 through 16 of teams with no head coach going into the playoffs. So they just have to work on a new schedule for all this.
Yeah, and I know Nick Saban made a comment. It's not really a Lane Kiffin, what did he call it, conundrum. It's more of a NCAA conundrum is what he was saying. Because, coaches are going to leave, players are going to leave, and all that. But I don't know how you fix it. I don't, because I've seen so many things on social media saying that they need to, do the schedule calendar around football, which I just don't see how they can do schedule, football like the calendar all around the football season. I also saw somebody say the season early August. I'm like, man, can you imagine a football game in Oklahoma in early? Oh, these guys will be passing out. I just don't think that's the answer either. Somehow, some way, there's got to be something that's fixed. Here's one thing I would say: if a coach leaves, let's say Kiffin leaves, and I know this can't be done this year, but maybe going forward, they can't poach anybody from the team they left for 2 years. For 2 years, and if a player says, okay, well, I'll go to Oklahoma, then I'll go to LSU, they can't do that. They cannot play for Lane Kiffin for 2 years. Now, I know people will say, well, the only issue with that is that these kids, they went to Ole Miss because of Lane Kiffin, some of them perhaps, and that's not fair to them. And I understand what they're saying, but if you can go to any other school but that one, and I don't know if that's the answer either, if that would help at all.
Yeah, they used to have that rule that when you transferred, you couldn't even transfer within conference unless the school released you.
Exactly right. And that's what I'm saying. There's got to be something there, because I don't know how you change a calendar. I'd be very interested in seeing. Should there be some sort of a commissioner of the whole college football committee of some sort? And I don't know the answer to that. Or should there be a board of directors of some sorts of like 8 people, which maybe 4 former coaches or something. What are your all's thoughts? Because something's got to change at some point, because it's not fair to Lane, but it's also not fair to the schools, and I totally understand that.
Yeah, I just wonder who they're taking advice from. And the only thing I can say about how crazy it's been the last 2 to 3 years is college football has higher ratings than it's ever had ever.
100%.
I don't know if it's because of this or what, but it's weird because there's going to be so many teams like a Texas Tech that's going to start winning that never has won before. Well, Indiana poured money into it and they're going to start winning.
Right. It's got to be a salary cap.
Yeah, totally
for
agree.
Everybody. Kellen, you got any thoughts on all this craziness? I know you kind of said something a minute ago, but I didn't know if you had anything else to add to it. No? Well, Lane Kiffin, I think, is the number one villain again in college football, SEC. What's crazy is personally, I like the guy. I really do. Do I like the way he went about some of this stuff, and I understand it. And I guess, I don't know, but rumor is that he told the Ole Miss athletic director and president, or whoever it might have been, chancellor or whatever, that, he wanted to coach this game, or he was going to start poaching players, and he was going to take all the offensive staff, which he was going to poach players anyway, and he's probably going to take the staff anyway. But there's no chance you can let him coach that game, in my opinion. He's not the coach there anymore. He's the LSU head coach, and I don't think there's any way they could have let him coach this football game. And I just see, tell me the similarities. What are your thoughts on the similarities with this and Lincoln Riley? Or is there not really truly any? Because here's the thing, I was so ticked off at Lincoln for leaving, but yet I'm not as ticked off at Lane Kiffin leaving. And that's doesn't make any sense, because it's kind of honestly the same. So is there any similarities in your all's minds?
I think the biggest difference between the two is that Lincoln Riley left for maybe you could say a lesser program, or at least equal at the most. I mean, so I get Lane. He's going to get more money, bigger program. I'm sure his contract and everything about it was better. Ole Miss was nothing until he got there. They've had a few good years, and that's it. And so they don't have the resources, and they'll drop back down to where they were. Maybe not next year, but it's sooner or later, unless that guy can keep players. But it's so interesting how Oklahoma State's letting the North Texas guy stay and coach. Tulane's letting Summerall, from what I understood, stay and coach. The one's going to Florida. And so it has to do something with Ole Miss. They probably are ready for him to be out.
Yeah. Do you think it's, Kellen, you can answer the question that Clay just answered, but I'm going to throw another question real quick. Do you think it's because they're at, I don't want to say a lesser program, like a smaller program, and it's okay for them to have these guys continue to coach versus a bigger, Power 4 or Power 5 or whatever they want to call them program? Does that have anything to do with it?
Maybe, but it could just be that the way people go about it. It's also when you're leaving for a much smaller program for a much bigger program, it feels a little different. It feels natural. It's to be expected. But when you're a playoff team, you're just kind of I understand LSU is technically a better job, but you're in the playoffs. It's not like you're at some bum school. So it just seems kind of messed up.
Yeah. Clay, you got anything to add on that or not?
No, I think that's exactly right. It's just you never see that in pro sports or any other sports when a team is making it to the World Series or making it to the Super Bowl. The only people that leave are the ones that were the coordinators, assistant coaches.
The guy.
And they might leave early, but for the most part, I don't know if I've ever seen a head coach in this situation leave his team. And we go back to the calendar. Could be that. But also, your team made the playoffs, and if we had the BCS or when we had the 14 playoff, Ole Miss wouldn't be there. It wouldn't have been that big a deal, and we would not be talking about any of this. And because they didn't make the SEC championship. I mean, they're the number 5 team in the nation. Didn't make the SEC championship. Didn't make wouldn't have made the playoffs or the BCS if it was like this, just a few years ago. Do I think Ole Miss is good enough to win it? Possibly. I don't see him doing it, even with him there. But
right, You never know, but and that's what I was going to ask next is like, I understand this college football playoff, but the problem is, should it be for the best teams instead of, and I'm not trying to degrade any other teams, but I mean, come on, like some of these teams, the Tulanes or even BYU. I mean, who are some of these other guys? I mean, you know what I mean? And I'm not trying to
James Madison.
I'm trying to bust chops,
Flirty.
but the NFL, it's the best. It's generally the best teams. Now it's all based off of record and who they beat and all that. And I get that. In some seasons, you play a weaker conference or in a weaker division. I understand. I totally understand that stuff. Or, they have it to where the, first place team in the NFL has a tougher schedule because they play other first place teams from the previous year and all that. I totally get all that. But I don't know, man. Something's just got to change because
I'm glad where they switched it this year, where they had the top 4 conference champions got to bye, which there would have been Clemson and Arizona State wouldn't have got a bye last year, but they did. They weren't even in the top 4. But I just thinking I don't mind it now that there's 12 teams, that one of these, what do we call them, conferences, the Super 5, what do they call them? Not Super 5.
Power 5?
No, not Power 5. What's the ones that, like North Texas and Tulane, and what are those? Group of 5. That's
Group of 5, yeah.
I don't mind it because I think, because if you're, let's say you're coaching North Texas and you go 12-0, you're not making the 12-team playoffs because everybody's going to say, well, you didn't play anybody. Well, we beat everybody on our schedule. So I'm okay with those teams, somebody having a chance, like North Texas or Tulane or James Madison or Liberty or Navy or whoever. I think it's pretty cool that they have a chance because more than likely, whoever the 12th team is anyways, let's say it's Miami, they're not going to win it.
Right. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say BYU, those teams right there, they're not going to win it anyway. So Utah, so what does it matter? And
I don't disagree, but I think maybe if that's the case, then have it a 16 team and have number 16 play Ohio State and show them like, hey, you don't belong. No offense, but I mean, you don't belong here. It's like a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament against a 16 seed. Mm-hmm. That's, I mean, I don't know. It's just something's got to be done because realistically, like, how many programs can truly win the national title in college football today? 10, 12, maybe. I don't know. I mean, there may be more, and I know a lot of plays into it. Totally get it, but it's just very interesting. All right, so I've got a couple questions for you, gentlemen. One being Black Friday, just a few days ago. Did you buy anything? Did you go out on Black Friday at all? Isn't it weird how it's completely changed? Like years ago, it was like people tackling each other and fighting and all that. And there may be still some of that. I don't know, but it's very strange how it's all happening.
Like Black November anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't buy anything anyway.
Are you more likely to order things like today, Cyber Monday, on the internet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but now it's all the same. It's all the same thing. The sales aren't any different or any better today, and it's been all online for 2 or 3 weeks. So, am I more likely to buy on the internet? Yes, but I just didn't buy anything this year.
Ordered all the Christmas for all my kids today and got it done.
You're all done?
It's a pretty big bill coming to my credit card, but it's done.
What about me and Kellen? Anything for us? Or
no, that part's not done.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'll get Kellen a DoorDash card.
Yeah, no kidding. Then I'll buy something, or he'll buy me something. If you could have 3 OU greats over to your house to, watch a game, have some dinner, who would those greats be?
Brian Bosworth, Adrian Peterson, Baker Mayfield.
Baker for sure. Are you talking players or just anybody?
Anybody.
Because I'm thinking Baker, Bob Stoops, probably Peterson as well.
I would probably have Baker Mayfield, definitely Brian Bosworth, my favorite of all time, and Barry Switzer. I can't imagine the stories that Switzer. I would love just to hear his stories, just to talk to him. And he's friendly as all get out anyway. But I mean, not saying the others aren't, but he would just probably make me just laugh the whole time. And I think that'd be fantastic to hear Switzer stories. That guy, and he remembers players' names from this, early 70s and all. And he remembers what school they went to and all. I mean, dude is football encyclopedia when it comes to Oklahoma sports.
Yeah, he's sharp.
Isn't he? And he's still, I think he's like 86 years old of some source anyway. But I mean, those would be the three for me. I think it'd be cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it'd be nice to have Stoops. Venables, the only thing about Venables, I don't know if I'd ever be able to talk. I think he talks a lot. He just keep talking and talking and talking. I'm like, dude, like, can I ask a question? It's kind of how I feel. Well, the Foxx Den Sports Podcast, I'd like to thank all of our listeners to tuning in and subscribing to our YouTube channel. We've got a lot of good stuff coming on. We have no football game this week, but we'll be able to hopefully talk next week about more playoff implications. Where we possibly host? Are we hosting? Or are we going somewhere else? Or did somehow, some way, something crazy happen and we didn't make it? That better not happen. But for Clay and Kellen the dog, I am the Podfather. Until next time, goodbye, everybody. Boomer.
Sooner.
Thank you for listening to the Foxx Den Sports Podcast. Be sure to subscribe for free to our YouTube channel, Foxx Den Sports. And also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Foxx Den Sports and on Facebook at Foxx Den Sports Podcast. You can also email us at foxdensports@yahoo.com. This has been Foxx Den Sports.